doing the repeater tax before it was a thing. It
And
wasn't even a rule.
this is why they had to. This is why they had to make the playoffs with D'Lo and Spencer Dinwiddie and all them dudes because they were cuffed.
Yeah,
So
they
it's
had to
like,
clear.
okay, that was the first one.
But
You
see,
trying to
that's
feel
And
you
after they
trying to
started,
feel the yeah, you trying to feel the competitive squad and clear all that out.
and the thing about it is that stuff happened years ago, and it
Yeah.
hit them then when they did the whole
that was a day
KG,
ago, right?
Paul Pierce, and all that stuff. That stuff hit them back then. I'm like, oh my god.
It's a roll of the dice, but man, you are talking about money. So welcome to 94 feet of hoop financial literacy. Big shot in the building. Jay Hammond Trav in the building, y'all. This is gonna be we're gonna take it back a little bit. The trade deadline happened. For a lot of people, it wasn't exciting enough. Why wasn't more things happening? Well, as we found out in our research, it's because it's a little bit more complicated than hitting the button on a trade machine. It's a little bit more complicated than that. So we're gonna take y'all through some hoop financial literacy and have a little fun with it, man. We're gonna try to not talk too far over your head, but as Ham and Trav can attest to, this stuff is a little complicated. It's a little complicated. But before we get into that, man, fellas, how y'all doing? All-Star break over. College hoops heating up. What's the word?
I'm glad the NBA All-Star Week is over with. So everybody can stop complaining about what changed make them tired.
Yeah.
That's over. But it's college basketball is where it's at right now. It's still where it's at. I mean, now the NBA is gonna heat up because we ain't got number like 30 more games left. So now we're gonna be jockeying for positions. So about 30 to 27 more games. But this college hoop, man, again, is where it's at. And I'm not just saying this on the men's side. This is both men and women. This college hooping is about to crank it up. March Madness about again. That's when y'all think y'all hair really gone like ours. Y'all hair really gonna be gone when y'all start 20 brackets.
Jay Ham, before we get into the game, we talk about the college hoop scene, and it's not all rosy at the FedEx Arena. In you know, I just want to get your thoughts as a fan. Like, you know us, like we don't do slander, and we just don't do hot takes. But I will be real about what I watched on Sunday. That was as close to I quit as I've seen. I've not watched Memphis like you have. You are much more ardent observer. You tell me if I'm tripping, because what I saw on Sunday was real close to quitting.
Big shot, you ain't tripping at all. That was my sentiment exactly, and I watched it from the opening tip. You know what I'm saying? They started out okay, it was flat. Then I looked up, it was 15-5. I looked up, they were down 20. And I went on my score app, started checking just the general stats. Rebounds, 21-6. SMU advantage there. I'm like, okay, they down 20, they get out rebounded by 15. These people got more offensive rebounds than they got total rebounds over here, which Trav
Mm-hmm.
pointed out in our inbox. We were discussing that just on the fly. And I watched about 30 minutes of it. I didn't watch the last 10 minutes because at that point it was like, man, I'm going to go do something else. Just find
Right.
another activity to do. But it was one of those that it's kind of been rocky like that anyway. And people in Memphis, me and Trav been talking about this for 10 years. almost right about this point 10 years ago, the level of expectation for that university's basketball team is the most fable and unrealistic shit I've ever seen. And I'm here for it. Like, it's fun, but it's unrealistic
Yeah.
because people really think that this is where who they think it's almost like they carry blue blood swag,
Okay.
but you ain't got none of that to stand on. What's funny to me, and I don't diss Penny, I rock with Penny, where he fuck up at, I'm rocking with him still because he gotta learn. You know what I'm saying? It's just anybody that's going through that. I'm like, I look around the country. I said this one, even on my Friday radio segment, 98.5 FM in Memphis. Come check that shit out. I'll be on there at 11:30 with my guy Johnny Radio. We're gonna have to bring John on one day.
Yeah,
Kick it,
absolutely.
kick it live too. Yeah, but I told John because John went off Friday when they lost to North Texas Thursday. John came in before I met John in the parking lot. He told me what he was gonna do. He was like, "Just follow me." I said, "You already know I'm with it." He cut a promo on live radio. He was eating a few of these. Shout out to these. I had to hook him up with some gummies. You know what I'm saying? So he on live radio eating my gummies. If you know how they get down, but he cut a straight promo, and I just told him, I said, John, I know everybody's just looking at Memphis and this part of it's just independent to Memphis, but I look around the country and it's the same shit going on all over America. This is the culture of basketball right now, especially now. There's one team that appears that a couple that appear that they got it figured out. UConn, Purdue, Houston look great. You know what I'm saying? They kind of those are the most three stable that we see. You know what I'm saying? But it's like a lot of talent. But every week we've seen top 10 team get beat by a ranked team.
Yeah.
Bracketology is gonna be a little false to me. You know what I'm saying? Because some of these teams that's like 500, they in the fight every night. If you don't look at their games and they score, they not getting blown out. They in the fight, and some of them are getting just progressively better. So it's like y'all trying to bark about Penny don't do this, Penny can't coach. But I saw Sunday didn't have nothing to do with coaching. That's from the jump. That's effort.
Yeah, that
That's
was
guy
that,
Trav, you put the post in our inbox. My guy Leon Taylor. Shout out to Leon. He do great work.
Leon do great work.
Memphis Tiger beat writer. He also covered the high school scene here and everything. He do all that. Shout out to him. Had to get him on too one day. I responded. I was the first person that commented on that post that you shared. You shared that Monday morning. Cancer's ready to argue with me about this X and O's. I said, bro, they got out everything. This ain't got nothing to do with it. We couldn't even get to the X and O portion of it because there was nothing to get to.
mm-hmm.
They was wasted from the jump, and then it followed up from another poor loss that they had against the 500 squad in North Texas that was on Thursday. So it's just the whole crash and burn scene. Now man, they might not make the tournament. They might not. But then the fun part about this for me, just on the realistic, I'm going long on it because it's your fault, Big Shot. I wasn't going to even go on this shit. But it's cool because it's one of them where it had to be said. A lot of the same complaints from 10 years ago from that howdy doody kind of white dude that y'all couldn't stand named Josh Pastor, who I was cool with. Josh was solid, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
some of the same complaints y'all had about Josh, y'all still barking about Penny and what's going on now. Perhaps the common denominator is the fan base and the university. He Pop kicked this baby up about the university a long time ago, and I done told y'all this story. Pop said, man, that basketball program is forever cursed. They don't do their folks right, man. So look how they did Larry.
been
Ain't
cursed.
went to jail for him. Look how they did Larry.
That thing been cursed since '97.
Listen, one day we gonna have. I want you to get Johnny Radio, Leon,
Oh, he'll
Sane.
love this because he can say
One
whatever
day
he
we gonna have
wants.
a Memphis. One day we'll have a Memphis like episode, just like a whole episode on just
Yeah.
Memphis hoop culture.
Don't let him make the turn.
Oh, if they'll make the tournament, I tell you what, if they don't make the tournament, because we're gonna have our show Monday, March 18th, the tournament preview show. We're gonna save a segment if Memphis don't make the tournament. We're gonna have we're gonna save a segment on there.
We might have to come back the following Monday on the 25th.
We might have to. We might have to. But look, let's get to it. This is the Hoop Financial Literacy Quiz. Now, again, I told the fellas we're not going to do definitions. I'm just kind of go with some examples. So I'm just going to say the question, and y'all just answer it, and then we'll talk a little bit about the term, but just have some fun with it. So here go the first question. It's about pick swaps. It's about pick swaps. In 2016, the Denver Nuggets swapped the 9th pick to New York to get the 7th pick and ended up drafting who?
That was Jamal they got. Jamal Murray, right?
Bingo.
Jamal Murray.
Bingo, that's the answer. Denver swapped the 9th pick to the Knicks for the 7th and ended up with Jamal Murray. Do you know where that pick swap came from?
Melo.
Was that the Melo?
That's the end of the Melo trade. That was the closing bit of the Melo trade. Was that pick swap? And they ended up with Jamal Murray.
What year did Melo get traded?
Melo got traded February of 2011.
11?
Or January of 2011.
11?
You know, the interesting part about the pick swap rule is that you can't trade first round picks in consecutive years.
Right.
And then
right.
I think one of those rules is like you can't do something like 7 years out. I think that falls under another rule that I'm thinking about.
I know. Yeah. I know exactly.
So the rule for the folks at home is called the Ted Stepien rule. So Ted Stepien was the owner of the Cavaliers in like the late 70s, early 80s. And to avoid pain, he kept trading his number 1 pick. He just did it like year after year after year. And the rule came in for that. That's called the Ted Stepien rule.
Do y'all realize how dynasties were built around then because of bad trades? Like Showtime was built off of bad trades. How you get Magic coming off the playoff year, you get James Worthy after a championship, number 1 overall.
You
get Byron Scott 2 years later, lottery. You just got out of the finals. But you lost. You're the top 5 and you get Byron Scott. All because of bad trade. The Celtics, they get McHale and Parrish for Joe Barry Curl. We ain't nobody heard of Joe Barry Curl since.
Dude,
to
be honest, the Celtics was OKC before the Celtics. Before OKC.
Yeah. Trash.
Red Auerbach was what you would call a cone popper here in Memphis.
Yeah.
You get over.
What you got, Big Shot?
Trav, pick swap. Pick swap. The last piece of the Kevin Garnett, we just talked about the Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce trade and Nets to the Celtics. The Celtics ended up with the number 1 pick in the 2017 draft. Who did they trade that pick to go down to number 3 to end up with Jason Tatum?
They traded down.
They had the Nets number 1 pick. 2017, they had the number 1 pick. They went down to number 3 to end up with Jason Tatum, who did they trade? Who did they trade down with to get to number 3?
That wasn't. Oh, jeez. It couldn't have been because that draft was. That's 17. That's Lonzo Ball,
Mm-hmm.
JT, but the second, oh,
That's Markel Fultz at 1.
Markel was at 1.
I remember
Was
that
that the
because I remember.
76ers?
Ding, 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 ding. The 76ers. Yep. So the last
I'm
piece
I
of,
remember.
go ahead, Ham.
I remember that. I remember that one because Danny Ainge said that Tatum was his guy, whether they was at 1 or at 3.
Yeah. So he
Wherever they landed, he was getting Tatum. God.
Danny got over again. Again. Traded down a 3 and ended up with Tatum. Crazy, huh? All right. Ham. This will be easy for Ham. 3 players have a rule named after them in the CBA. Who are the 3?
Bird's rights.
Larry Bird, that's 1.
Derrick Rose rule.
That's 2.
I don't know the third one.
Trav, you want to take a hint? You want to take one shot at the third one?
Are we talking like as far as like rules of the game?
Yeah, there's a CBA rule written after Derrick Rose, Larry Bird,
financial rules, basically.
Yeah.
I'll just say a rule. I know Gilbert Arenas got one.
That's your answer?
I'm sticking with Gilbert Arenas. I'm sticking with Gilbert Arenas. Because
Gilbert Arenas is the third.
He got 1.
Gilbert Arenas is third. So the Gilbert Arenas
round pick.
So the Gilbert Arenas rule is this. I'm gonna try to make this as uncomplicated as possible. Basically, the original drafting team can use their whole mid-level exception without penalty to match the offer sheet on a player. So when Gilbert Arenas in 2003 became a restricted free agent, the Warriors didn't have enough cap space to match his offer, and that's how he ended up on the Wizards.
And he got max money out of that base.
Yeah, so then they rewrote the rule.
And he did it before he was actually able to get out of like a standard rookie contract because he wasn't on the standard rookie contract because he was a second
round pick. Mm-hmm.
Now the Derrick Rose rule is if you have a player.
Let's go right there. So the Derrick Rose rule has 3 ways you can get the Derrick Rose rule to operate it.
That's what I was gonna go with.
Trav, you want to take a shot at the first? There's 3 ways to get it activated. Can you name one of them?
Man, it's the first one about rookie contract expiring that
it's award related.
Rookie, I mean not either MVP. If he's the MVP, you got to home team, his original team can pay him the most money.
Yep. So if the rule is the rule is if you win MVP in any of your 3 seasons under your rookie deal, that's one way. J-Ham, you know another one? There's 2 other awards you can get.
2 All-NBA selections and 2 All-Star starts.
Yep. And there's 1 more. Either one of you. There's one more award.
Defensive Player of the Year.
Yep. If you win Defensive Player of the Year in your last year as a rookie or 2 of the last 3.
I know that people don't really think about. The CBA values NBA MVP and Defensive Player of the Year exactly the same. They're considered equal. It's a defensive MVP. That's just how they look at it.
Your prestige highest awards within your rookie year.
Yeah. So basically, what happens is your contract then becomes Right. And then your contract in your 5th year can be worth 30% of the cap.
There you go. Where in general cases, when you get the rookie max extension, you get 25% of the cap. People got to understand that a lot of this cap business is based on percentage. When you get, especially like when you get the Supermax is 35, right?
Yeah.
Or Vet Max,
The first
10-year, right?
Yep.
So
Correct.
it's all pretty much structured about percentage within the cap. But that's like when who else hit the rookie Supermax and got the joint? John didn't get his. You know what I'm saying? Because he missed out.
Because he
You
got
know what I'm saying? He got in trouble and missed out on other stuff as well. But it'll generally cost like in excess of $25 million and up.
You know who also hit the Rose rules? Shock surprise, Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
He was an all-star.
He was an all-star. He was all NBA in 2 of his early seasons in Philadelphia.
2 of his early seasons. Yep.
Second, third year.
All right. Trav, we're gonna do some Kentucky related. Paul George was traded for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for 5 first-round picks. Can you tell me how many of those 5 picks were unprotected and how many were protected?
I know they came from the Clippers. I know that much.
They came from the Clippers.
Y'all came from the Clippers.
It was 5 first-round picks. How many were unprotected and how many were protected?
Was 3 protected and 2 unprotected?
Ham, you want to take a shot?
Shot it in.
2 protected and 3 unprotected?
Close. It was 4 unprotected and 1 protected.
Oh, wait.
They gave up the house.
They also got an unprotected from the Heat in that, and they also got another pick swap from the Heat.
See, this is why they were featured on A&E, that A&E series Hoarders. They've been hoarding all these draft picks, and they got that ain't for like second best team in the West.
Now you look at Oklahoma City, they got the Williams cat. They got Chet
Holmgren.
They were able to rebuild it.
I know that Chet Holmgren pick was very unprotected.
They got them.
They were able to rebuild it.
They got Jalen Williams. You forget they got Shea, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, Dort.
Rookie money. He ain't no rookie money no more. He ain't no rookie money, but he ain't extreme max.
And they got
$20 million.
So you look at their team, and they got 7 more first-round picks in the next 4 years.
It might be a while before they see the second eight.
Yeah, and they still got 2 pick swaps to use.
Just think, a couple of years ago,
and they can move and shuffle, and they got a lot of assets that they can flip.
Just think, a couple of years ago, we was just talking about them trying to get LeBron's sons for draft the way they loaded up on each other.
Mm-hmm. And if you
SGA did slick change the culture. He got them guys playing well. Chet Holmgren. You got old boy. What's the Giddey? Giddey is 1 on 2.
Giddey is one of the picks.
Giddey is 1 on 2. Williams. That team is they're prime, young, and can only get better.
And this is why I'm low key kind of rooting for the Clippers to win it this year, because as unfair as it's gonna be, that trade becomes so lopsided if they don't win it. And Paul George is a great player.
Right.
But the reality is, if you get 5 first-round picks and the future MVP in the same trade,
That's like the Cowboys did the swap for Herschel.
Yeah, it's the Herschel Walker trade.
That's on their
Basically,
level. That's on their level.
you get 5 first-round picks and you get the better player.
The Cowboys got Emmett and a whole bunch of dudes that they ended up winning the Super Bowl out of it.
That's what started at Miami. Back that
Listen,
Miami
man,
draft
I don't want that for Paul George, man. I don't want that for him, man. I don't want that for Paul, man. All right, fellas, there are 2 teams currently under the salary cap. One in the West, one in the East. Yes.
San Antonio
Oh,
under the
shit.
cap.
Oklahoma City got to be under the cap, man.
They're actually not. They're just under it. They're just over. They're just over.
Yeah, they got a bunch of dudes that got lunch money.
Think mountains in Florida.
Utah.
Utah's one.
Utah and Orlando.
Yep. Only 2 teams in the
All
league.
that choose Orlando.
Another y'all squad.
Only 2 teams under the cap.
With
Right
all
now.
this
Dad ain't went out to the mountains and got 3. Look at him. Yeah.
All right. This is gonna be the last question. Then we just kind of talk in general. To the nearest cent, not penny, not 1 cent, but to the nearest cent. What is the tax per dollar for every time you over the luxury tax? So you
Like two,
for every
like
dollar
250.
you over, so if you $1 over the tax, they charging you how
Like
much tax?
Like $250 on the dollar for like the first 5 million, right?
It's 2. So it's if you 4
275.
years old, yeah. So if you 4 years over the luxury tax, they charge you $2.50 for every dollar you over the luxury tax.
Okay.
So why this matters is Ham. We talked about this in the pre-show. You hear a lot about the first apron and the second apron. The Warriors, the Suns, the Clippers, the Bucks, and the Celtics are all at the second apron. So for every dollar, they over the luxury tax. So the luxury tax right now is $182 million. Those 5 teams, their payrolls are way over 182. So they getting charged. So if you 40 million over the luxury tax, really is 60. Really is 60 million.
You said the tax 182, right?
Yeah.
The first apron is 7 million above that tax, so that's 189.
No,
Second
I'm
apron.
sorry. 182 is the second apron.
Okay, so no, the tax is 165, right?
Right. So let me just break this down. So 136 is the salary cap. 136 million.
Cap, right.
The luxury tax is 165.
Right.
172 is the first apron.
That's your first
So
apron.
that's where the Nuggets, the Heat, and the 76ers are right now. So they over the luxury tax, but they ain't that over. The second apron is 182.5, and that's where the Warriors, the Suns, the Clippers, the Bucks, and the Celtics are. And the Warriors have been over the second apron for 3 years. If they don't get under that luxury tax this summer, them folks are getting charged $2.50 for every dollar you over the tax.
And check this. Combined with the salary, this season's salary, and the luxury tax penalties, they're combined $495 million in total salary for the season.
You can't take
$500
that
million, Chief.
Said millions, right?
million.
Yeah,
Make sure these folks hear that. Right.
$500 million, Chief.
You can't take them tax forms to H&R Block, man.
They ain't trying to pay the fine. I ain't trying to pay the fine. But they
Listen,
gonna end up paying the fine. So
they going to paying it.
they gonna end up paying the
So
fine, but don't be in the play in. Don't be in the play in. You can't pay the fine if you're in the play in.
exactly. That's probably why at the end of the year, Chris Paul will probably be gone.
Yeah.
If Clay comes back, it's going to have to be on a steep discount.
Man, that's gonna be an issue. I hate to say it, but that's gonna be an issue.
So, fellas, that was our financial literacy game. Y'all did well on that. Y'all did well on that.
I'm a
So,
nerd. I be reading this shit, Big Shot.
no, but you know what though? You kind of have to. Like,
Yeah.
and I think what is so interesting about it, we talked about the 65 game rule a couple weeks ago. And I think you're seeing, fellas, the owners are like, we tighten up all this. We gonna make it so hard for you to move. This is to get to. Go ahead.
The trade off of it, it's like we're looking at a league right now with the minimum, the salary floor is 122 million.
Yeah.
Everybody is eating in this joint. I mean, think about who the $15 million dudes are in this league now.
15 is the mid now.
Exactly. Exactly. 15. Like, cool. So it's like, yeah, we want to see them get all their bread, of course. You know what I'm saying? I'm an advocate for cats getting paid. But like you said, they tightened it up, but then they also tried to do what they could to level the playing field as best as they possibly could. Like we're gonna save y'all self from y'allself, but we're gonna charge the fuck at y'all for it too. Especially if you want to contend and compete. This is why when LeBron went to Cleveland, he told dude, want to do this, we gotta be in luxury tax. You gotta pay the tax, bro. I want to need some guns here.
Yeah.
Traps.
It costs to be
And I got paid.
it costs to be a champ. It costs to be a champ.
Listen, when OKC lost James Harden, why? They didn't want to go into the tax.
That is true, but
Mm-hmm.
don't use the fax machine and give a man that is 22 years old 24 hours to make it.
Don't do it.
Don't
do it.
You don't do that. This man got to get his people to look over a 15, 16-page document, word for word, within 24 hours and say, make a decision. Yes, legally, you are grown. But maturity factor, everything else, James Harden was not ready. That's why he moved. I mean, yes, people, let me just break this down to you. It's not that easy running the NBA basketball team off ESPN trade machine. That's not.
That's not how it works.
It's rules and regulations and laws that goes by it. That's why these guys have contracts. Notice when y'all be seeing these folks sign these contracts that they just go. They at this point they just sign where the X is at, initial where the X is at, because their lawyers and their agents have broken all of this down word for word. This stuff don't happen within one day. This is a 2-3 weeks. Trades be, to be honest, trade stuff be done probably a week prior. It's just a financial literacy at this point that has to be broken down.
Right.
That's the main thing. So y'all sit up there and be like, well, LeBron need this and LeBron need that. Well, LeBron ain't back there reading all them goddamn papers about how this shit gonna work.
Yeah. And they pay people, and they paying
shit work.
And they paying people big money to be like, I wish I had Ham's Eddie Murphy meme. because it would fit. I
Don't do it. Don't do it.
There's somebody getting paid big money to read all that contract, read all them. These terms that we read, y'all, we gave y'all basic, super basic. It's somebody tonight sitting in the office in a dark room reading all that as we speak.
Yes, I would. And here's
That's
the thing.
skimming, reading,
Yes, I would.
reading, retaining.
And just think, the agent does all of that. And guess how much they get paid? Guess the percentage.
3, 4.
7%.
Yeah, they tell you.
7 to 10%. 7 to 10% they get paid. So it's not as easy again as going on the ESPN trade. The money ain't the problem. They gonna go in luxury taxes. They gonna do whatever it is. Their owner got enough money to get the player they want. That ain't
You know what used to be my favorite thing? When a team don't want to play and they say, well, go find a trade.
go find a trade.
You find it. All the stuff I gotta do, you find it.
But see, that's why they say it and people interpret it like, oh, well, this player actually went to this team. No, that agent went and used that 7 to 10% knowledge that he done gained to find a team to where it's best fit for him.
Couple facts, fellas. Then we're gonna do a little preview of the second half of the season and get out of here. Do you know if you are in that second apron 3 out of 5 years, if you get a first round pick, your first round pick goes to the end of the draft?
Oh, yeah. Again, we're gonna save you from yourself from yourself. We're gonna make y'all pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I learned, do you know in that the trade that ended up with Jason Tatum becoming a Celtic, with all the swaps that happened, you know Brooklyn's pick, they swapped, they gave some picks to them. That pick went from 3 to 27. Because of the swap situation.
Classic.
Listen, unprotected and protected picks is a thing. Like when you hear them two words, when you hear a trade and they say protected or unprotected, you better really pay attention to which one it is.
I'm laughing because that's also coming off of a episode of 94 Feet of Life that we did years ago on the Philadelphia 76ers and that basketball Ponzi scheme ran by Sam Hinkie. So almost that's the product of the Ponzi scheme. That thing went from 3 to 27. and the other side of it ended up being Jason Tatum.
The other team being Jason Tatum is the other side.
Brooklyn could have had Jason.
Right. So you think about you the Garnett Pierce. Oh, that's great. You just thinking like a fan. That's the case of your owner thinking like a fan. All the owner heard was Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce. Didn't think about nothing else.
Didn't think of nothing else. Them names blinded you.
Didn't think about nothing else.
What BG say, boy, you blinded me. Oh, this ice on my wrist, boy, you blinded me.
Listen.
Exactly what they did. Paul, AG, blind, everything. And it was somebody else too. Jason, was it Jason Terry that was in there too? Jason Terry was in it also.
I think so.
Those the 3 Celtics.
Yeah.
Those the 3 Celtics.
Yeah, man, we gonna have KG, Paul Pierce, Jason Terry, Joe Johnson, Gerald Wallace. We got it.
Uh,
Aaron Williams, but Aaron Williams on that team.
Darren Wood, we got it. Meanwhile, that pick turns into Jason Tatum, and they said, and all the other picks that came with Jason Tatum.
Meanwhile, you got a dude at Duke that get cursed out. Talking about his South St. Louis kid that turned to a number 3 pick and a multi-all-star.
Yeah. And that's another thing. We traded out of the first.
oh
We,
boy.
we were going to draft. Wait a minute. We were going to take him first anyway. We just duped you, Philadelphia, into giving us some extra stuff. And we was gonna take dude anyway.
Oh, that's great.
There's a reason why because Boston has been, they haven't won a chip yet, but for like 8 years, Boston has been right there for like 8 years in a row because of stuff like that.
Boston ended up getting out of that whole deal. That was JT, Jaylen Brown, Scary Terry. Got Scary Terry out there.
Yeah.
Those are the main 3 that was drafted. Now they made room to get Kyrie.
Right. So they got Tatum, Brown, Scary Terry, and then with the room that's left, you can sign Al Horford. You can sign, you end up with, right, you can sign Al Horford. You can sign the Morris twin.
Yeah.
You can.
I think that karma got him, though. I think that karma got him for how they did that T4, though.
Yeah, I think that. See, here was the thing with the IT trade, right?
I get it.
I get it too. I get it, but it was just how it was. It was how it was done. Basketball wise, it made all the sense.
Yeah,
it made all the sense.
All the sense of the world.
But that's why the whole
y'all used that bang hip.
Yeah, Leprechaun. The Leprechaun came to life on that, right? It is still kind of
sense
to me is because of how they did him and his hip. They thought they was getting rid of bad luggage, but you don't do that to a man who then put up 40 in a playoff game right after his sister died.
Let me tell you, I think when we get closer to the playoffs, Trav, we gonna revisit like underrated, great playoff series.
Oh.
And that series comes to mind. Do you remember the Celtics versus the Wizards in like 2017? It was the second round series. The Celtics beat the Bulls, and then they played the Wizards. That was the John Wall, Bradley Beal. It was that series.
That was they coming out party. That was they coming out.
Yeah,
that
was one of the great series that never gets talked about. I think it went to a game 7.
Yeah.
The Wizards like dressed in like black suits because they said it was a funeral. They was going to games. Like it was a whole. When we can close to the playoff, we gonna have that great playoff series that was never talked about. That was one of them. But you're right, IT. But yeah, man. All right, we're gonna get up out of here in about 10, 15 minutes. 2 weeks from tonight. The 9th anniversary show, 2 weeks from tonight. This thing has been going for 9 years. So 2 weeks from tonight, the 9th anniversary show, hopefully like Coach Les. We might see if our man G2, see if MJ, I know this like high school postseason time for them 3 gentlemen, so they may not be able to slide through, but that's just gonna be fun. That's just gonna be us just having fun that night. We ain't talking about no current events. We just gonna talk about the fun that we've had with y'all for the last 9 years. 2 weeks from tonight. But let's talk about the
We're
second
gonna
half.
talk. We're gonna talk about Lithuania then, huh?
We can talk about. Listen, we can talk about the. We're gonna talk about the characters we've ran into. Some of the dope
Lithuania.
interviews.
We gonna mention mackerel. We gonna talk about all kinds
It's no holds barred. 2 weeks from tonight, it's no holds barred, man.
of
It's no holds barred.
Of all the mess.
Listen,
Fun.
we've had a time for these last 9 years. That's all I'm gonna say. A time has been had. All right. So let's get into a quick preview of the second half because I'm gonna be honest with you. The 9-year anniversary is in 2 weeks, and 2 weeks after that is March Madness. So I know y'all love NBA. It ain't gonna be too NBA heavy these next 2 shows. I'm not even gonna lie to you. So, fellas, here's what I'm looking at the second half of the season. I think the biggest thing is the obvious one. Does Milwaukee drop out of the top 4? Does Milwaukee have to open a playoff series on the road?
No, they.
You think they gonna hang on?
I think they're gonna hang on to a top 4 spot because of Philadelphia.
Okay, fair point.
Embiid is still out, and I haven't heard anything yet. But the surprising Knicks are second, if I'm not mistaken.
The Knicks and Cleveland are kind of alternating second and third.
I'm tired of Cleveland teasing me like this because they're the team that's so good, but yet they don't scare me.
Cleveland, Trav, I'm with you. I thought Cleveland, the way Cleveland sort of flamed out in the playoffs versus the Knicks last year, left me with a kind of a sour taste. I didn't like that at all.
I wanted that traditional type of build team to make that second run.
Mm-hmm.
Games, but they didn't because I wanted it for the culture of basketball because everybody is still blabbing about there's no power forwards, there's no traditional type of team. Although you got Denver on the other side, but there's just not a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like Cleveland. I wanted that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to advance, but I mean, again, Cleveland is clicking on all cylinders right now.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they can be beat. Milwaukee can be.
I can't think Milwaukee doesn't find his footing at some point.
They got to.
I feel like it has to happen, right?
They're too good of a team. I don't care about Doc at this point. Doc is he ain't on his last leg. This is just his last chance. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Not on his last leg. Because it ain't like he can't coach. This is just his last chance because he has all the weapons and all the tools to make a huge run. And the way you put him in, this man was an advisor. This man had 2 jobs and a job that nobody even know he had on the side.
Doc was Tommy from Martin.
Yeah. He had a second job on the side you didn't even know about. Nobody didn't know he had that side job with Milwaukee. But this is it for Doc. This is it.
This is it. Now, Jay Ham, we talked about the youth being served in the West. And Minnesota and Oklahoma City look like they're going to hold on to 2 of these top 3 spots. The Clippers may slide into, but unless, knock on wood, I think Oklahoma City, Minnesota go hold these spots. But Ham, I want to see if you don't agree with me. I think the dangerous first-round matchup for anybody, the most dangerous first-round matchup It's not the Lakers, not the Warriors. I think it's New Orleans. If New Orleans is completely healthy, you talk about can make a series go longer than it's supposed to. If I am, I mean, you're going to have to play the best, but I would be nervous if I'm Oklahoma City or Minnesota and I have to play New Orleans first.
especially
That's
uh,
bad news. That's bad
especially
news.
especially for Oklahoma City with the inexperience.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. It's like they cold, they hooping. They ain't had a taste of that playoff fire yet. Not
Yeah.
not the real. You know what I'm saying? Not like that Shaz. You know what I'm saying? He the one that have been through that, but just as a collective group, nah. And it's could be a good deal for Minnesota, not to see them, but just in terms of being that spot where they 1-2 where they got home court early like that, and they got that experience, and they got better when they added cats like Mike Conley, Kyle Anderson. Nope, they got better in that aspect. But just in general, it's like you still might have to deal with the Lakers.
Yeah.
Still might have to deal with the Dubs. You still have to deal with Stephen now. Can't really leave out Sacramento.
And
You know.
another, and another team you talk about him having to deal with, and I said earlier in 94 Feet of Life, if you're waiting on something else to happen with Phoenix, it might not happen. But
It's Kevin Durant, man. Kevin Durant and Devin Booker.
If you got them two,
Yeah.
if you got them two healthy, that
a
might be
bonus
enough.
if you got that. If you get that brand available for that, it's still the Wild Wild West. Even the congested configuration that's going on right now, a whole lot of shuffling. And we didn't even talk about the champs. We didn't even mention,
We ain't even talking about
it. So it's gonna be interesting.
It reminds me of the year, Trav. You remember this as a Spurs fan, because I know Trav always, not always, but when it comes up, he's like, "Remember, Pop did that stupid stuff." Remember the year where like 17, was it 6 teams in the West won 50 games?
That's 15. That's 15. Talking about 2015. We just
15,
won it last year, 2015.
And the Spurs ended up with
we played
the Clippers.
15, right.
Yeah. I think we got that situation in the West.
They straightened it out the following year. That could never happen again. Because I think the Spurs didn't win
what happened was that
they didn't win.
The division winners got the top seeds automatically, no matter what your record was.
Right, but the
division winner got no lower than a 4.
Right.
That's what happened with that. And all of the Southwest, for the most part, with Houston, Memphis, San Antonio, all of them had better records than Portland. But Portland got to at least be at 4.
Portland got the 4 seed.
Because of that, they kind of threw everything out. Because Portland was 4, but they was on the road against Memphis, and Memphis had home court.
And then you had it was like a 3-6 type of deal where San Antonio and Clippers.
Memphis won a tiebreaker on San Antonio. Yeah. So they had the same record. They won a tiebreaker on San Antonio, so they ended up having to see the Clippers first as the 6.
Wake Forest crime.
Ham, you talked about this. Not wanting to see a Lakers Warriors. Think about what the play-in could look like. Just what the play-in is going to look like. You could have a play-in that got Luka, Kyrie, Anthony Davis, LeBron, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Brad Beal.
Cool will be.
That could be the play-in.
Which is wild because it goes back to what you were saying what you generally told the basketball public. This might not be one of them years for y'all. We gonna find out who really like basketball, or what kind of basketball fan are you, more. That's what we gonna really find.
Yeah. I
You there
think
for the sizzle, the spectacle, might not be your year.
if you want the sizzle, it's in the play-in. If you need the sizzle, you go
Right.
to play-in. Play-in is right there for you.
One and
But
done.
Y'all don't need to get to June and not know who Aaron Gordon is no more. When I know who Michael Porter Jr. is, that can't happen.
Yeah. Yeah, and you right, Ham. Denver is the most unsung champion I can remember in a really long time.
Since them folks. Since Trav now.
I hate it that way. I hate it that way. Denver gets not all praise, like I'm gonna prioritize them, but Denver name has to be mentioned.
They don't get talked about at all.
Denver name has to be mentioned. Joker has to be mentioned. Jamal Murray has to be mentioned. That team has to be mentioned because when it's all said and done, that is the only team in the West that can beat 1 through 11.
Yeah.
That's the only team that you can match them up with anybody. They can beat them. And I ain't talking about on the West. We're talking about on the East.
That's true.
True. Listen, we're gonna come back to the NBA when we get close to the playoffs. But if you're not a big college head, just kind of keep your eye on these standings the next couple of weeks. Cause we gonna get into with some real interesting matchups. I think, like I said, if you need sizzle, the sizzle's lower down the standings. But I don't think Minnesota, Oklahoma City are gonna go anywhere. I think there's enough material now that we can say, yeah, this is what it is.
I just want to put one on record. If the Knicks get to the conference finals, I'm getting custom Knick gear. Now, I didn't say it wasn't going to be one of my beats.
What is going to be? That is the question.
I didn't say it wasn't going to be one of the beats. But I might make a mean profit in the Knicks. So, it might work.
I tell you what, now I'll say this and then we're going to go for real. If the Knicks play past Mother's Day, not only will I apologize to Matthew Gordon, Matthew, you can actually come on to the show.
More than well.
He can come on anyway, honestly.
More than well. He's always
You are welcome to come on the show and pop all your and talk that talk. If y'all make it past Mother's Day, absolutely. But if you don't make it past Mother's Day, but if you don't, you know the vibes. You know how it's gonna go. And with that note, Trav in the building, Ham in the building, MJ, Germ, G2, everybody, friends of the program, shout out to you all. We'll be back 2 weeks from tonight, the anniversary show. It's going to be a bunch of fun. Basketball for the people, by the people, signing out.